know the kind of typewriter they was using, and that keeps all that noise. It doesn't work very fast. So he was sitting down, he was doing our paperwork, your name, and all of the stuff that they needed to know about you. And finally, I guess it was too quiet for one of the police officers. So he looked at me, and I guess I must have been looking at him too. He said, "If you were my daughter, I would take you across my lap and spank you." And I just looked at him and I said, "If I were your daughter, I wouldn't be down here for this." I think that's when he realized what he had said, but it was too late then. As they say, you can't get the toothpaste out of the tube once you've gotten it pushed it out of there. So the other police were trying not to laugh. They were just doing a quiet sneer. They didn't want to embarrass him anymore because he was already ready to go under the table. So when they finished, somebody contacted David Stith. David was in his office, which was upstairs over one of the businesses on Pettigrew Street. He invited us to come by the office. They were trying then to get a group of attorneys to represent us, because when it came over the radio and the TV that it was a special bulletin then, they say breaking news now, special bulletin then, and the colored community was watching it. And they say they started picking up the phones from, "Did you see the news? Do you know some Negroes, some of us going down there to the Royal Ice Cream Plaza and sit in and wouldn't leave?" And they said, "Well, who are they?" And a friend of mine told me, she said, her mother said, "Well, just some troublemakers from out of town. We doing good. Here come the troublemakers." And this was a really good friend of mine whose mother made the statement. That is why David Stith and those didn't announce that we were going to do it, because they didn't want that kind of publicity. Said, "But well, we got to get them some lawyers regardless of who they are." So they contacted attorney William A. Marsh Jr. Marsh had assured David Stith that he would take the case and he would represent us in recorder's court whenever it come, but he wanted to put it off until Conrad Pearson got back from New York. Conrad Pearson was at the national NAACP meeting, so he certainly wasn't going to leave that to come back to get a case. So that fell in Billy Marsh's hands, and Attorney Marsh, when we went to court that morning, well, actually he had put out the word we could go on to work, and he would notify us when the case came up, because he was not planning for it to come up on that Monday morning. I went to work. I was working at Duke, and I had seen a newspaper, and it was on the front page. I walked in there, and a couple of my coworkers said, "We saw your name in the paper." You talking to me? I kept right on doing what I was doing, and I didn't comment, I didn't admit, I didn't deny, I didn't do any of it, because I knew my manager had also seen it. The paper was laying on her desk in the office. So I went to her and told her, her name was Miss Malone. I said, "Miss Malone, something happened." I didn't tell her what it was because she already knew. I said, "Something happened and I'm gonna have to go home." She said, "All right, Virginia, and if you can't come back tomorrow, call us." I guess she said, "You'll be in jail." So but she nicely that told me to go, and if I couldn't get back, to call them. So we went to the courthouse, packed, standing room only, because this had not happened before. When the judge called the case, Attorney Marsh pleaded for 7 of us not guilty. The judge found us guilty of trespassing. Attorney Marsh immediately appealed the case. This means now we're going to jury, we're going to Superior Court, and that would be 12 jurors sitting on the jury case. They heard our case. That took 2 days that I had to take out from work, but there was never a problem. If I let them know that, she was fine with that. And so when their decision was the same, they upheld the recorder court decision, guilty of trespassing. Attorney appealed that to the appeal court in Raleigh. We went to Raleigh, and Attorney Marsh and Attorney W.G. Pearson pleaded for us there. That judge found us guilty of trespassing. So we came back and they sent the brief. We didn't go to Washington. They sent the brief to the United States Supreme Court saying that our rights had been violated. Their answer came back. Our rights had not been violated. I guess they were looking at each other wondering what kind of rights they think they got. But at any rate, they upheld it. So now, this is the final part of it. And according to the paper, about 2 or 3 days before the deadline, Attorney Marsh walked in the courthouse with a check from the NAACP to cover all 7 of our fines. And I might say that I really don't know how much the fines were, but I know that the NAACP picked up the check. So after about 50 years and a lot of letter writing from Mr. Kelly Bryant, and I think Eddie Davis might have had something to do with it, he won't admit it. But they were trying to get a marker here in Durham to represent the Royal Ice Cream City-Inn. And they were always denied for year after year. Mr. Kelly Bryant asked for a meeting with them, they denied him the meeting. And on the 50th anniversary, I think that's when it was, they organized a ceremony down at the library commemorating the Royal Ice Cream. And by that time, the new board of Highway Markers Commissioner had been installed. And Mr. Kelly Bryant wrote a letter to them, and they immediately invited us to come to Raleigh for a meeting. I think there were probably 7 or 8 of us there that went to Raleigh. And before the chairman could finish calling for the question, all of them raised their hand and voted unanimously that we put the marker in Durham. That is how the marker got there. And then it was brought to Durham. Mr. Hill brought it. The marker was unveiled in Union Baptist Church because they had all of those big machines working on the Scholar School, so they couldn't do it at the site that it is now. It was done in Union Baptist Church. That is when we became known as the Royal 7. And that is, the marker stands on the corner of Roxborough and Dial Street. And there's a picture on the Civil Rights Mirror downtown. That is the story of the Royal Ice Cream City-Inn. The defendants, Vivian Jones, Melvin Willis, Claude Glenn, Jesse Gray, Doug Moore, and Doug Moore died either the last of August or the 1st of September of this year. Mary Clyburn still lives in East Orange, New Jersey, and I like calling Durham home. Our dream team was attorneys Conrad Pearson, W.G. Pearson, M.U. Thompson, Floyd McKissick Sr., and it was headed by William A. Moss Jr., who departed from us November of last year. If you want to read more about it, you can go to any law library in the state of North Carolina, and there's also an article, it is written in the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. You just look for State versus Clyburn. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of the Royal Ice Cream.